In this session, we'll be talking about how to select plants for a permaculture system in your region. Some things to consider when selecting plants are what climate zone you're designing for, your soil type. Plants have their own preferences on soil types depending on their native habitats. We want to replicate soils from the region they are endemic to, or select plants that grow in soils similar to our own. Property size. It's important to imagine how big the plants that we select will become when they mature, and what we want the plant to do, what functions. If we're designing a system for a client, what their situation is. It's important to know what climate type your property lies in. Albany, where I'm based, is classified as mild temperate. A few hours north, Perth is warm temperate. You might have even heard Perth described as Mediterranean type climate. This slight difference in climate type means gardeners in Perth have success growing plants like coffee, mango, and chocolate pudding fruit. I've uploaded a detailed climate map to Blackboard so that you can take a look at your specific climate zone and what that might mean for you. You can generally expect to find in a temperate climate mild frosts in winter or no frost on the coastline, cool winters and warm summers with 4 distinct seasons according to the traditional model, that is autumn, winter, spring and summer, and reliable rainfall mostly during winter. The Noongar people, the First Nations people of the land I'm gardening on, acknowledge 6 individual seasons rather than 4. If you've ever felt that spring doesn't seem to quite happen on the day that we call the first day of spring, it's because the European model of seasons isn't quite a perfect fit. It does, however, give us a good enough guide for when to plant our winter and summer vegetables. Cold climate fruit trees actually need a certain amount of time below 7.2 degrees Celsius to flower and set fruit. If these trees don't get enough chill hours, they will have delayed bud burst, poor flowering and fruit set. Brassicas, which are the plant family that include kale, Brussels sprouts, cabbage and broccoli, are sweeter after a frost. So if you ever felt like you really don't like homegrown kale because you find it too bitter, it may just be your climate zone. Frost will damage and even kill subtropical plants like bananas, sapote and avocado. Chill hours refers to the number of hours in the season below 7.2 degrees Celsius. I've added a worksheet on how to calculate your region's chill hours on Blackboard. So take a look and calculate your chill hours to see what sort of fruit trees that you can grow. It is possible to create microclimates in your garden to grow subtropical plants like sapote, tobacco, avocado, banana and custard apple. The biggest challenge for these plants are cold winter temperatures, waterlogged soil and strong winds. Establish windbreaks and hardier trees protect delicate plants. I like to use fast-growing species like elderflower as a nurse tree to protect and shade more delicate species like sapote while they're young. Brick walls make a fantastic heat sink. They absorb heat during the day and slowly release the heat in the evening, protecting plants from unwanted frosts. Soil structure refers to the physical contents of your soil. Is it mostly clay, sand, or somewhere in between? Loam is what we call the soil that is ideal for growing the fruits and vegetables that we're used to eating. It is important to understand the soil requirements of the plant you are trying to grow. What soil type exists in its native habitat? Sandy soil absorbs water easily, unless it's hydrophobic, but it doesn't hold on to water and nutrients. Clay soils are slow at absorbing water, but have a higher water and nutrient retention. We'll cover more about soils, including soil testing in the soils unit. The pH of your soil will affect accessibility of certain nutrients. Some nutrients are more available to the plant at a higher or lower pH. You can see in the image that iron is the most available in a soil with low pH. So if a plant that requires a fair amount of iron, like citrus, is growing in a high pH soil, you might find the plant can't access the iron in the soil and will look like it has a deficiency. You can easily test the pH of your soil and change it by adding lime or sulfur as needed. Planting trees that grow too big for the space allowed can be a very costly mistake. Think about trees growing over a house. If it's a deciduous tree that drops its leaves, you'll need to protect the gutters from falling leaves or clean them often. Some trees can have invasive roots that can cause structural damage or drop branches. Consider any local restrictions on plants as well. For example, in Albany, you mustn't plant anything that grows taller than 90 centimetres in a verge garden. This is especially important when designing permaculture systems for clients. What do they need from the system? Can it be more than growing food and living sustainably? Do they have children that need a space to play and no thorny plants? Do they need a space to relax and meditate? Maybe they want more than a kitchen yield and require cut flowers to bring inside and brighten the indoor living space. In a permaculture garden, we use a lot of support plants to create a self-maintaining system that doesn't require much in the way of outside inputs. You might select plants to feed the soil, nitrogen fixing or chop and drop plants, plants that attract beneficial insects for pollination and pest control, or medicinal plants for herbal medicine. When designing a system for a client, consider their skill level, access to resources like water, are they on mains or scheme water, and how much time they are able to commit to maintenance. They might not have considered things like deadheading or hedging, fertilizing, pruning. Hopefully this session gives you some points to think about when selecting plants for a permaculture system. If you have any questions, make sure to head to the discussion board. Don't forget, there's no such thing as a stupid question. We're all starting from different backgrounds and levels of experience.